remember doing remotes on opening day of the market. I know we actually broadcast live for the first office.
If anybody needs to talk during public comments, please sign up.
Here's the
I'm starting early now. I'm only kidding.
I'm not starting yet. I'm just getting ready.
Well, I don't know. I think
Tim.
that clock's a little low.
You want to see?
Please. Yeah, I know.
Guess which name's on it?
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. I want to thank everybody for being here on this lovely day. We have an agenda. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as written? Wendell moved. Do I hear a second? Any comments? All in favor of the adoption of the agenda, say aye. Aye. We had our closed session at 3:30 and finished at 4. Mr. Holloman, would you like to do the invocation?
Thank you, Mayor. If you'll bow your heads, please. Lord, we come before you today humble, and we thank you, Lord, for all the blessings. We're ready to enter into a new ski season. We ask, Lord, to bless all the visitors and bless the ski resort and all the work that's taking place to accommodate the visitors this season. Lord, we also ask, especially that you remember all the veterans families, and those who fight in the military service, and those who serve in public fire and EMS duties, and bless them and their families as well. And let us always remember their sacrifice. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get to public comments, I'd just like to say a couple of things on behalf of the council to all of our employees and our council member and our residents, full and part-time. If you are a veteran or you are in active service, we thank you for your service. I'm not naming people because if I missed somebody, I would feel terrible. But there is one person that I would like to name. He's not here, and he's back in Tennessee for the winter. But he enlisted in World War II and served in World War II. He served in the Korean War, and he served in Vietnam. And he ended up retiring as a full colonel. And he's 92, I think. And Alan Brister, if this is in the minutes, I just want to thank him for his service, for fighting in 3 wars and coming back to us. He's an important part of Beech Mountain, and I'm getting emotional. And I would like to thank him for his service. But to all who have served and who are serving, this community and this country thanks you very much for your service. We couldn't do what we do without you, so thank you. Now on to public comments. Everybody knows you've got 5 minutes, and I'm timing you. Don't make me hit my gavel. Hal, would you like to come up? Please state your name and your address for our town clerk, Tamara.
Yes, my name is Hal Halliburton. I live at 132 Skiway Circle. And I had planned to be here at an earlier meeting, but I've been fighting my own War of the Roses, so today's the first day I was able to come. And I want to personally thank the town council for the great job that someone did on paving our road. And I want to thank the members of our crew for their help in getting the road ready to be paved. The road is absolutely fabulous. Everybody I've talked to on the circle are so complimentary, and I'd like to thank our mayor in person for that. Thank you.
Well, we're glad that you're happy with it. Thank you. Frank Steele.
Well, I signed up by default today.
So you don't have anything to say?
Can I leave it open in case I hear something?
No. That's a definite no. Okay, put that in the minutes that Frank Steele doesn't have anything to say.
And Ursa agrees.
And Ursa agrees. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate your comments. Okay, we have a consent agenda, the October 9th, 2018 closed session meeting minutes, and the October 9th, 2018 regular meeting minutes with the revisions that were submitted. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Wendell moved, Widener second. Any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we have new business, and under new business, we have a request for sanitation employees. And Mr. Holloman, would you like to take that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll start off, and then I'll probably call on Robert and Matt to add some additional comments. We've had several ongoing issues with the recycling center, or convenience center, as we are now calling it, about trying to keep it clean and maintained. This past summer, we used several weeks of overtime to help do this. We try to accommodate longer hours. The industry standard, if you go to Watauga or Avery, all recycling centers have an attendant the entire time they're open. I do apologize, we didn't talk about this January and February last year for the treat to get it in the agenda for the budget. So we're coming mid-year asking for a budget amendment for 2 employees. And even if we cut the hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I talked with Robert and Matt, we still feel the need for 2 employees. We hope the council considers this favorably. I know there's a lot of discussion. So I don't know which way, council will go on it today, but we will probably still bring it back up in the budget talks in January and February. But in order to maintain the level of service that's expected, we need these people. And just to give you some idea of cost, I mean, you see the cost for the 2 people, but we're having wear and tear on our trucks because we're having more materials go to the landfill than probably necessary. Contractors debris that we shouldn't be taking that gets dumped there when somebody's not there. We probably have a $40,000 cost differential that if we could put it to our employees manning it, we're spending $40,000 now anyway on doing that. And like I said, when this first came up, I was kind of mixed feelings about it because we reduced 2 employees. We're trying to reduce the number of employees in town and try to do more with less. But also we have public works employees who are being pulled out to do sanitation issues. And I just, when I asked Robert and them what tools they needed, they said we need 2 people. And so that's kind of where we're at. We're also, kind of a side issue, we would like council to consider, going from 6 to 6 through the wintertime right now, even if you don't take action on this tonight, and kind of agree that it's okay to change the hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We do have a chute now for those limited people who might use it after hours, so it's a little bit untested, but we do have that. So I kind of bounced around on that a little bit, so I'll have, if you want to ask me any questions, or maybe I'll share them with Robert and Matt at this time to kind of go from there.
Council?
The dollar figures that you give us in here, is that for the balance of this fiscal year?
That actually includes enough for an entire year, so it'd be almost a little bit less than, maybe it's
So it
not
would
quite
be less
half.
than that.
It'd be less than that, actually. That's the total amount. We're talking about, if we can't actually hire somebody by January, you're talking about January to June, so it would actually be about a little bit less than half or more than half of this number.
Okay, so would the budget adjustment wait until you have that take place?
Well, if the council approves it, we could do the budget amendment as well tonight, but if council doesn't approve the 2 new employees, there would be no need for a budget amendment.
How many positions are currently open now, Public Works?
I don't think we have any open positions in Public Works. We just hired a sanitation worker that was open, so.
So there's no positions available, or no positions open?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, I mean, we're 6 months into this year's budget, and I don't know, I don't feel comfortable making an amendment in this year's budget. Maybe look at it in next year's budget.
Continue with overtime?
Or
I think-
no overtime?
I think we need to look at, we need to look at all the costs. Look at how much overtime, you're talking about the $40,000 with the, I think additional.
The tonnage we have now,
Yeah.
we're not having tonnage. So I mean, actually, look at it now, if we save $20,000 on tonnage and we're looking at 32,000, half of this amount, it's kind of almost a break even for the rest of the year. But now, with that in mind, if we don't have these employees and still keep these hours, if somebody drives through early in the morning, it may be 9 o'clock before we get it cleaned up from the weekend.
I have no
So,
problem with
so
that.
there's some expectations that go along with that we might not be able to to maintain. And that's one reason we brought this to council. We cannot maintain the expectations without these people.
If we're pulling employees from other departments to do the sanitation job, I trust them that they need the people, and it's our job to give them the tools to do it. I don't see anything inappropriate with them in the budget.
Are they pulling the people to keep the convenience center
Christine,
pristine or
not a good
spotless?
word, but that's what we've asked them to do.
To go back to what Tim said, you know, it's the level of service y'all want to keep. If you want to keep it pristine, we have to have it. What we've been doing is we are running it, we're letting Charlie work from 10 to 6 to get his hours in every week. He's working every day but Tuesday and Thursday. We cover it Tuesday and Thursday. And if Charlie just got back from vacation, he was out 8 days, talking overtime. I had one guy work 14 straight days. He has 122 hours the last 2 weeks. He's also the truck driver, so he's running the trucks back and forth and staying till 6 o'clock at night to do that. He came to me last week. He closed it Tuesday, or he left. Come back in Thursday morning, there's 5 gallons of paint sitting in there. We can't take paint. Boone will not let us bring any more paint because we took 72 gallons to them during the latest recycling thing, and our paint's not welcome in Boone from the town. What I'm gonna do with it yet, I've yet to figure out, but, the only way we can keep it clean and keep the animals out of it and keep the contractors out of it is man it, let my guys close it up, shut all the dumpsters, and close the gates. If you wanna go from 6 to 8, that's fine, we just need help doing it. If we go back to 6 to 6, I've gotta have some people, if I have somebody out, we're looking at ice storm tomorrow morning, or Thursday morning. I can't pull my guys out to do it. What we're doing is our guys are coming in, we're pulling a couple of public works guys to go help them clean it up. If anybody saw it Monday morning, Charlie was here Sunday and Monday, and it's still piled up on top of the dumpsters.
So what are you gonna do about folks that throw paint down the chute at nighttime, or decide they're gonna go around the fence or under the fence? It sounds
At
like
least they have to put some effort into it, they don't have to drive a truck in there and dump it like they've been doing now.
And we are going to make some fence modifications. We talked about the blue fence, so it's not as easy.
Yeah.
And I hadn't talked to Robert about this, but we may even come across the back and fence it in across the back too.
I mean, I'm not as concerned about it. I don't see a contractor carrying truckloads of sheetrock across that back wall. If he is, he's pretty good, he's pretty good shape. I'll let him do it. But, right now, what we're doing is after we leave, they know when we leave. And they're just coming and doing it after
But
that.
they're also dumping mattresses,
We get mattresses all the time.
which we're not supposed to accept.
We can accept mattresses.
Somebody is doing something
have
to
no
the
idea what
house
the
because
mattress-
of all those mattresses.
I know the public doesn't see it, but they might go online and see. If you look at your report from me, the Public Works report, look at those totals down there, especially look at construction debris. That's where the mattresses end up going. We are 160-some tons of construction debris, and all we take is what little bit you do in your house by yourself and haul it to us.
Supposedly.
That's what the ordinance says.
Yeah.
Have you looked at cameras? That
Do
would
we want to spend that knowing that we may be building another building? We're getting ready to do another grant for safety grant. There will be cameras involved in that grant as a request for part of that.
I mean, you can get a deer camera, for $50 and put out there and
But can I get enough information to get the chief
Well,
something?
one thing on that too, though, there's a drawback in that. If you've got out-of-state contractors, how are we going to track them down and find them? And right now, it's a little bit different than the garbage fines because we have those people kind of captive audience. We can put that on the water bill, we can recoup that. So, I mean, the industry standard is to have attendance the entire time a center is open. We have operated so long without that. So, I mean, part of this is correcting the problem that we probably should have addressed years ago. So anyway, just to kind of keep that in mind.
Well, what about rotating? In other words, if a guy if he has to work Saturday, give him Sunday, Monday off.
What we work now is Charlie works down there on Saturdays and Sundays, he has Tuesday and Thursday off.
Okay.
But he's still, if he's out, then I have to pull one of my guys off or one of the sanitation guys off to fill it, which we've done the last week or so. I'm still bringing a truck driver in to empty dumpsters on Saturday because we just can't get it off. Normally, we would make 3 trips to Boone a week. So that's 6 loads. We're doing every day.
Yeah, I
And
think
you can-
counters your trucks almost
and you-
every day.
We have a truck going to Boone every day.
you contribute that to the contractors?
I attribute a lot of it to that we are busier as a town, but a lot of that stuff's contractors, those, big roll-off dumpsters, you know, we're running them a couple times a week.
How many of the current dumpsters can you get in the truck that hauls the trash to Boone? If they're
I can
full?
do the route and put the dumpsters in the truck,
All of them?
I'm sorry,
all of
all of them? What do you have, 7 or 8?
7,
7?
yeah. We're running usually 1 or 2 trucks a day.
You know, the folks that are doing this, I mean, obviously they're doing it at nighttime and they know that it's illegal. And I still go back to my statement about, I mean, we have 8 or 9 cameras, 10 cameras at our plant, and there are a couple areas where we can't put cameras. We're in the process of doing it, and the deer cameras are effective. And it'll give you a good enough visual of the vehicle and
What you need is-
description of
What you
of
need
who
is a
they
tag,
are.
tag number.
But what Tim said, if it's a Tennessee tag, which it might be, then what recourse do we have to get money if we
Well-
find them?
Put a sign up, you know, and let them know that whatever our ordinance is, that, you know, it's illegal.
If we were to identify, this is going to Josh, really. If we do identify a vehicle, that the contractor isn't up here generally for one time only. He or she's gonna come back in.
Mm-hmm.
And if we identify a vehicle as being to contractor A from Tennessee, or from West Virginia, I don't care, but out of state, can we go to them when they're here on the mountain at a different location and lock their vehicle
No,
with a wheel lock?
no,
No.
We can.
no.
Okay.
I would follow up, we're not objecting to try to put cameras down there. I mean, to get the tag number, you're looking at cameras gonna cost between $9,000 and $19,000. You're looking at an expensive camera to get the tag numbers.
You can get a description of the vehicle, though. It doesn't necessarily have to be the tag number. We've had theft at our plant, and it was enough that with the picture of the truck, police were able to identify it. We didn't have the tag.
We can try it,
I mean, it's a $50 investment, you know, and if it saves X amount of dollars, you know, it means
I mean, even with
I mean,
the cameras,
it's
you know,
worth a try.
I'm not against putting cameras up. We still need another body down there. Yeah, I'm running all the routes with 3 guys, where before they were running with 4. Yeah, we're manning the station a whole lot longer than we ever did. We always manned it from 8 to 4, I think, years ago. Yeah, it's what do you want to do? You know,
This all started when we talked about the dump, is what it is, was
Well, I agree with
looking
that.
like a mess.
Yeah.
Before that, you had enough people and there was no issue with staff, is that correct?
Yeah, if we're gonna run these hours from 6 to 8, or 6 to 6, if it's gonna be open 12 hours, I need somebody
more
there to
people.
staff it.
Well, what about, there's a lot, most of the counties or communities around here close their convenience centers on Sunday.
Most of them close them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon too.
and some of them close them, either on Sunday or Wednesday. I know Avery County, some of theirs are closed on Wednesday, so they're open on, well, they're closed Wednesday and, Sunday, 2 days a week. And one thing too, I mean, council, we're asking for 2 people. I mean, since we're only talking about half this amount, perhaps council consider 1 person until the budget year and then a second person after July to help work things out. I mean, there is some flexibility in there, but just like Robert's saying, even with cameras, we still need people.
So even with that being said, and that's what I was going to allude to, is if we only hired 1, because I mean, if we hire 2, then we don't need them down the road, you know, working for the government, they never get replaced, or, but if we hired 1, and then when we get a new trash compactor in, I mean, that should have an impact also, shouldn't it? So, I mean, I would be receptive to, you know, approving 1 employee in this budget session.
I'm just confused. We were open 24/7. And yeah, the Bears got to it and it was a mess, but everybody dealt with it. It wasn't taxing Public Works. I just don't know how it it's changed.
Well, I think part of it is trying to keep it in the better shape, and then part of it too is to discourage contractors, and we have been hauling a lot of debris that we should not be hauling. And that's kind of a hidden problem, because you've been doing it for so long, it's just been budgeted.
So that's been going on all along.
That's
Sure.
the one.
You just didn't track it.
Probably even more so in the past.
It's been pretty bad.
Well, we had another call, about leaves, a separate issue. You know, folks had, over a few bags of leaves, well, I have 95 bags to pick up. Well, then your contractor should be hauling them off, it's not for the town crews to pick up.
Well, here's another twist. There are a lot of folks that use our recycling center that aren't residents of Beach Mountain. So I think that there also needs to be, they need to have a placard or some type of identification. I mean, when you go to other areas, they want to see, they want to see some identification.
But you're still gonna have to have somebody there
You
to
still
see
have
the
somebody,
placard.
you need somebody there.
If you do a placard.
Well,
identify.
Yeah, but that's fine.
If
That's-
council approves the second person, or there's one of these two
Yeah.
people, then we can come back and, I mean, different, you know, counties sometimes give you a sticker to all the residents. We could actually sell contractors, we could come up a price and sell some, well, maybe not contractors.
No.
We could actually we could come up with a method to do that, but we probably still need a person even before we
Gotta have somebody look at it.
do that.
Robert, from what you've seen in the past, do you have an idea of when you're getting most of the contractor dump? Or is it all days of the week?
It's at night.
All
And
days
it's
of the
all
week?
at night.
Anything significant?
And it's all at night when nobody's there.
I will tell you one story James told me. He was working week before last while I was gone. And he went there and he went in Charlie's building. It was after about 5 o'clock. You know, he was just kind of sitting back there seeing what's going on.
Right.
Well, he had one come in. He started throwing stuff in the cardboard dumpster. Well, James come out on him. He said, "Oh, I didn't know there's anybody here at this time of day." He's throwing sheetrock and cardboard in the dumpster.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's
But
any
it
day
could
they're
be,
up here.
the way our ordinances are, it has to be something observed before the police department can do anything. If you have somebody in the office, rather than going out and confronting them, pick up the phone and call dispatch.
Well, he made him take them out of the
Yeah, he
dumpster.
may take the stuff back out. Dumpster
Yeah,
and
oh,
haul
I
it out,
understand.
Which
But
I would rather him do than
I'd rather have the police department
Yeah.
Well,
come
So-
and tackle it.
I'm ready to accept one employee.
I like to go back to the placards. I know there's a lot of folks that use our recycling center that aren't residents of Beach Mountain. So,
In fact, most people that rent.
Well, you have the renters, you
I'm
can't
gonna
do
get
anything
there.
about that.
So if you've got and I think it would be, and Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it would be simple, you know, for the residents, they have some type of identification, some type of placard, and then whenever you sign your rental contract for folks that are on VRBO or whatever, included in your rental contract will be your sticker to either take your trash to the recycling center or do something with it. But, I mean, that's been an ongoing issue for
I
a
believe
long
that,
time.
that's a big ask. It's difficult enough to make people understand that they're renting property, that they need to take their trash to the dump. It's a disconnect. Most are used to, I take it to the curb, it's picked up.
So you have
I
any,
mean, it's hard enough to get them to keep up with a parking pass. And now we're gonna ask them to keep up with a garbage pass. I don't see where that's gonna work, given the nature of our population as it shifts during the high season.
I mean, at some point, you gotta accept some responsibility somewhere. If you give them a key and they lose it, say, a key, a parking permit, that's, when you go to hotels in Florida or go to a condo at the beach, you get a parking pass, you get, all the credentials that you need that you should be held responsible for.
I think we're getting off track here though right now. I think we need, and that's something we can address maybe during the budget to figure out if there's a solution to that. But let's go ahead and get back on track as far as your number of people and whatnot. Is there a motion on this?
Well, I'm in favor of one employee.
So you're making a motion that he can hire one employee. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Wendell, second. Is there any more discussion on hiring employees?
So we're hiring one employee, correct?
That's the motion, yes. All in
Yep.
favor of hiring one employee, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody not in favor, say nay. You got one employee.
Thank you, Robert.
Now we have to make a budget amendment on that.
Yes, ma'am.
See, if you'd asked for 3, you'd have maybe gotten 2.
It's the way the system works.
With the budget amendment, was this set up on 2 employees though, correct?
It was set up on 2,
Yeah.
correct, for an entire year.
So you have to change it.
So it has to be changed
before we
before
can-
we can
yeah,
approve
So,
it?
well, actually, it's be 38,000, so I would just say, if you would make a budget amendment for 20,000, you go ahead and do that. We changed the amount. You could approve it for lesser because we're not going for more.
Okay, so we need to make a motion for $20,000 for the budget amendment. Do I hear a motion for $20,000 for the budget amendment to add 1 employee
So
to
moved.
Public Works?
Second.
So moved.
Barry moved, Widener, Wendell second. Are there any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against say nay. Budget amendment is approved. Okay, the dog pet control ordinance, I kind of brought that up. I've had somebody call about that. Actually, I've had a number of people. Recently, somebody called me about it. At our breakfast meeting, I had somebody come up to us and ask us if there was a dog leash policy ordinance for the town. For Holiday Beach Villas, I've had a lot of people over the years asking about a leash ordinance. So I said I would bring it to council and have a discussion on that right now. We do not have a leash ordinance. We have a voice control ordinance, that your dog has to be in voice control. I've heard of different aspects of that, where when a dog sees a deer, it's not coming no matter what you do. If a dog sees another dog and they're not on a leash, that they will approach another dog, and that's not good either. So I'm bringing it to council to see how you feel about this. I think the police department, if there was a leash ordinance, would have a little bit more bite in how they can enforce it, as opposed to enforcing a voice ordinance, keeping your dog under control by voice.
Is that the one with the
I
antenna?
planned that, folks. I planned it. That's how good I am. And
I was
it's
wondering
not
why
on.
everybody laughed at once.
That's funny. So anyway, I thought bringing this to council, knowing that the police department would prefer a leash ordinance, which gives them a little bit, no pun intended, more bite, and see how you guys feel about enacting an ordinance to dogs must be on leashes if they're out.
I thought we already had a leash ordinance.
No, we don't.
No,
No,
it's under control.
it's keep it under voice control.
You have to be able to control your dog.
I am a dog owner, and my dog is always under a leash. And I'm definitely in favor of it. We have a dog park. If people want to let their dog run around without a leash, we have a beautiful dog park. They can run until they're wear themselves out. But there's, sometimes I walk my dog and there's a dog that comes up. First of all, I don't even know if he had his rabies shots. Somebody gets bit. There's right away is a problem. Number 2, there's a lot of people that are afraid of dogs. And so when the dog comes up to them, they're afraid. They don't know how to react with it. And sometimes that's even more dangerous than anything else. So I'm definitely in favor of having a leash law.
Anybody else?
I mean, I don't know if we're taking a vote on it, but I'd like to see something in writing about, what all it's going to pertain to before.
Well, that would be the motion. The motion would be to direct staff to come back and prepare an ordinance.
Yeah,
And with the exception of the dog park.
Yeah, of
right,
course.
of course.
Or a fenced-in area of a person's.
Well, their private property is
Right, right.
fenced.
Yeah.
That's different. But while they're walking on the street or walking around the town, the dog should be under leash, under control.
So currently, if you're at your home and your dog's a couple neighbors in somebody else's yard, a couple doors down, but you can still holler at them, so there's no fines that are applicable to that?
I think we can do something, but
There are fines that is in ordinance that gives applicable to that, and that's dog running at large, but again. the
He has to see it.
The officer has to see it.
The officer has to see the violation.
But with the leash law, just an officer driving around would have,
An officer driving around, see somebody walking with their dog, if the dog's not on the
or
leash.
see a dog running loose. Yeah.
Now, does the dog have to be on a leash, or does it have to be on a leash and be in the possession of the owner?
Whoa. What a question.
Don't confuse me.
What a question.
That's,
Okay, bringing it back.
That was a test.
Do I hear
We'll see
a
if anybody was
motion
listening.
that we,
John has a,
oh, sorry, John.
Why are you taking comments?
yeah, we'll take a comment.
Not really, but go ahead.
Renee, lately I've taken it upon myself to enforce the ordinance, among other things, and the way it reads, because I've studied it, it says that the dog must be under your direct supervision and control at all times. And I've interpreted that to mean that if you're not able to snap your fingers and make the dog come and mind immediately, then he's got to be on a leash. That's the only other way to control him. And I've written letters about that to people. I've got a long-haired dachshund that thinks he's a Rottweiler. And when we're walking him, if a dog that's not on a leash comes up to him, he has an out-of-body experience. He levitates off of the ground. And that's because he's on a leash and he doesn't think that he can adequately protect himself if he's on the leash. So it's not fair to those that keep their dogs on the leash to have other dogs that are running free. Now, granted, I stretched it a little bit. If they're not under your direct supervision and control, and I would say that that would be 0.1% of the dogs in the nation today, they're just not that well trained. And like you say, if they get distracted by something, like another animal, then you're going to have problems. So certainly the leash law would be cut and dried, black and white. The dog has to be on a leash, period. And then we wouldn't have the problem. That's my take on it.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion that we come back next month with an ordinance for a leash law?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have Barry
Wendell.
and,
Wendell.
okay, Barry made the motion and Wendell second. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Okay, we will readdress that. Okay, we have old business, and in old business, we accepted a project rehab for water lines in the Charter Hill section on September 12th, 2017. We approved that resolution to apply for a state loan. We have been approved for that state loan, and we need a motion to accept the loan. Robert, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there, and
Okay, I just have one question before. What is the interest rate on this loan?
I want to say it's like 3.25%.
Well, there's nothing written on here that states the interest,
They were 2.8 and they went up when the last,
but we're not accounting for it here.
yeah. That I don't know. That comes through the state.
Well, I understand, but we're accepting the loan, but we're not showing the total amount of the loan.
Correct. Yeah. I get the information the state gives me.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
and what
not
they are,
saying-
and a little bit of background on this, these are state, federal SRF funds. EPA gets money every year for water and sewer projects. This is part of that funding. Federal government sets the initial interest rate, and it changes, the state will set theirs. Once you set your agreement and everything's signed, they'll come back and tell you what everything's gonna be. Like Tim said, it's somewhere around 3.2 right now. Better than what you're gonna get at a bank for a long-term loan. These are 20-year loans. And we applied for them to do, this is most of the project in Spring Branch, Charter Hills, a little bit of Hornbeam. And once we do this, we should be starting moving on this. The plans are almost done for it. And we've got another one coming later that's for the wastewater side that's on Clean Water Funds.
And the 2% administrative fee, is that going to the state? What is that?
Yes.
This one's the state.
And then we set up a reserve, capital reserve of 34,000.
That's what we have to put in as
So
our
we have to put
match.
in.
That's our portion.
Correct.
Wish I would have known what the total interest was, but
Well, I don't think the interest rate is set until the loan is approved.
The interest rate's not set until the loan is approved.
It is the lowest money we can get as far as you
Yeah.
could commercially finance.
But because it fluctuates until you say, yes, we want the loan, we'll sign
That's
for
what
the
it
loan,
said.
then they set the rate.
They got like a 60-day window on that, don't they?
I think
Once
it
you
is when
apply
you need to
for it?
close it out, whatever the closeout date is.
Carl had a motion on the floor to accept. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Wendell seconds. Is there any more discussion? All in favor of accepting the loan as it's written, say aye. Aye. Any against, say nay. The loan is accepted. Thank you, Robert.
Do we need a separate motion for capital project ordinance too? You have a separate item, so, yeah. Okay, I don't think that,
Say that again?
yeah. The next item is the capital project ordinance. Along with that, we need a motion to accept that as well.
Oh, 34A,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll move that.
Wendell moves. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Barry seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say nay. Motion passes. All right, next on our list is the bear-resistant trash container ordinance that we asked to have submitted at this meeting from last meeting. It's for the rental companies. We'll put a motion out first to accept the trash container ordinance for short-term rentals. Do I hear a motion?
Well, I'll move it so we can get to
Get to
discussion.
discussion, right.
Yeah. I know
Wendell
Carl
moves.
wants
Do I
to
hear a
discuss.
second?
Second.
Barry seconds. Open for discussion. Carl?
I am strongly opposed to this as written. Don't recall that this was to be strictly for short-term rentals, but I would like to go back and point out, the rest of you here, give me the reasons that we're trying to propose this. Our own since we've begun finding, our own empirical sample shows that it's 58-42 rental properties versus homeowners. So what you're proposing here is that we solve 58% of the problem. Your arguments that it's going to look so much better with uniform cans, we're going to get rid of the wooden containers. That's out. You're passing a restriction, a tariff, and exempting ourselves from it. This is back, if we're going to do this, if we feel it's time after having told our property owners you need to get a wooden bin, coming back a few years later saying we need a lid on that wooden bin, I agree that that is no longer working. But I don't believe this is right or fair to only take a segment of the population and say that you have to spend this money and do it, while the rest of us in this room do not. It's not going to solve the problem for that very reason. You're going to have all the other targets of convenience. You don't think the bears are going to move there. You're not getting your other pluses that were mentioned here about everything's going to look so much better and be done. If we're going to pass this ordinance to apply to each and every one of us as property owners on the mountain, it is bad policy. It's just bad optics for us to sit here and pass an ordinance that doesn't apply to us. I mean, if we really feel that this will help solve the problem, then it's incumbent upon each and every Beech Mountain property owner to do so, or forego trash. I can't in good conscience support this unless it is a uniform, because you're not solving anything. All you're doing is adding expense, burden, and regulation to a class. Now, granted, it's not a protected class, but they are, an economic driver of this mountain and what we're enjoying, and you're putting additional regulation on them and not on the rest of us. And I am absolutely opposed to that. Now, I will reluctantly support one if you make it that every property owner needs to purchase a bear restrict in whatever time frame you want. But singling out, these when it's, when our own small sample size says that it is, it's an easy target. They don't vote for you. They're not here to defend themselves. This is just wrong. I mean, if we want to do it, each and every one of us as citizens should do it, but not as written. I could not be more strongly opposed.
I agree with Carl. And I think we're only putting a Band-Aid on the problem, I think Carl and I voted to remove the trash cans, and I still think that's probably best for Beech Mountain. I know there's some folks that are opposed to it, but I think, we have two issues here. We got, really one issue, the bears. And I don't know if it's an option to and this would be something to ask a wildlife expert, but if the bears can be trapped and removed, but we still need to do something with the bears potentially, but that would be a question to ask an expert. But at the same time, even with these bins, you're looking at spending somewhere between $12,000 to $5,000.
No, let's not get that done.
There's two different kind of bins you can get. You can get those total metal ones like the town's bought, or you can get the metal with the steel mesh. And depending on where you have, most people will have at least two 32-gallon containers. So somewhere between $400 and $1,200 is what you're going to spend. A wooden bin is $300 to $400.
Well, they spend $400 to get a wooden one that doesn't stand up to the raccoons.
Yeah, but and then you're going to have the expense of mounting it. If we're looking at it properly, if we want it done uniformly, it doesn't need to impact with plowing. Again, this is it's a partial solution, and it's targeted at not what the problem is. As I'll say and said again, it's been said in here, we don't have a people problem, we have a bear problem. And if we're going to solve it, it needs to be uniform across the board.
Well, the thing is that we feel that once the fines, people start seeing the fines are going to be so expensive, that they'll go out and get their own bear-proof containers on their own, because nobody wants to pay $500 for fines.
Maybe we should wait then,
So
till we have more impact from the funds.
Now,
To see if that has an impact.
another option too is, if this ordinance is adopted, people,
Off the bridge.
Well,
I don't know if it's adopted, you also have the option to say, okay, well, I'm taking it to the recycling center. I'm not gonna have a container. So you don't necessarily have to buy one. You have to buy one if you want to keep service.
In one of our previous meetings, the price on these bins were between $1,000 and $1,200. How did it get down to $400?
Because we found a different source because of the steel mesh and just a solid top and bottom, they're cheaper. Pigeon Forge and all. One of the people in the community actually found this guy and sent me the information to him, and that's why he get cheaper.
Is it bear proof?
It's bear proof. Yeah. Pigeon Forge and Sevierville use, so he's made about 800 in that area.
And aesthetically, how's it look?
I think the solid ones might look better because aesthetically, people don't see the garbage. You see whatever, if you throw bags in there, you can see the white bags, black bags, but they're not bad aesthetically. There's a couple people who have them up here now. Probably the solid ones look a little bit better, but our ordinance would allow either one,
So what if this passes and then we continue to have a trash problem? Then what?
But which we will.
I mean,
Carl is correct in his soliloquy. He was absolutely correct.
Well,
Maybe remember I said I made the motion so we could get to the discussion part.
you can have a couple of things, because right now, if council disapproves it for rental, you still have 12 months. It's effective November 1st, 2019, so you have 12 months to come into compliance. If after 6 months, or, it might be a year before you have this, and then we adopt it for everybody, or, adoption is to say, okay, well, we'll give everybody 12 months, and just everybody who has curbside service has to have one of these two containers. You've got a couple of different options.
by that thinking, we're going to experiment on the backs of the property owners engaged in short-term rentals.
Well, I think if
So
council
that we
does,
can save money that didn't work, so we're not going to have to do it, and we'll solve something else. If this is an experiment we're going to do, let's all do it. I mean, it should apply equally to each and every property owner on the mountain. I don't see any efficacy in designating this particular class when it isn't, they're not simply the problem. You know, everyone's got a specific example and they're an easy target, but it is simply not the case.
And I think if council does this, you're kind of committing on the side issue not to do away with curbside. If you adopt this ordinance, you're kind of saying, okay.
And that's what came up in the last meeting, and actually Widener brought that up. If we're gonna do when we talked about doing it for just short-term rentals, Widener made the comment, well, if you're doing that, then you're basically making a commitment not to get rid of trash, because you're making people pay that kind of money. So you can't then tell them a year later, oh, sorry, it was $1,000 and we changed our mind.
Before you jump off the cliff on this, why don't you give the fines enough time to see, if you find someone enough time.
Frank, we appreciate that, but we're not, that's why we're discussing it out. We're not making any decisions. At this point, we're still discussing it.
So here's another gamut to it, and nothing against Public Works. You know, the bears are still eating the trash bins. Now, even though, you know, or the dumpsters, even though it's gotten better, like, I mean, I went there last weekend and the bears had hit it. And I mean, I don't know how many days a week they hit it, you know, whether it's 3, 7 or whatever, but here we are giving out fines to our residents and renters, but we have the same issue that, you know, on a weekly basis.
Well, look, you're moving it around.
No, I'm not.
There's nothing you could do about the bears. They'll travel 20 miles for food.
I'm just
So
saying.
there's nothing you can do about that. Until we build a new recycling center, we have to live with it. So there's nothing we can do about it. The bears are gonna hit it. The fact is, are we worrying about the recycling center, or are we worrying about when you drive down your street, there's garbage all over the ground? Which is more important?
I don't dispute I don't dispute what you're saying, but I think it's a double standard.
The garbage, I guess we have to clarify. We're not getting rid of the garbage pickup. So let's move away from that.
But one thing too, as far as the town trying to comply, you know, we had donations, we've got bear-proof or bear-resistant containers by town hall now. Over here on the side, there's one triple and one single. We've got them down at the rec center. We'll probably come back in this year's budget. And those are your small locations similar to residential. So we are trying to abide by what we're enforcing. The recycling center and convenience center is kind of like a separate entity. You took a big step tonight, you approved another employee to help us keep it cleaner, faster.
Well, I think we should make a motion that we wait until we see what.
We already have a motion on the table.
Well, wait to see how the fines affect
I'll
the,
second that.
Well,
and then at that point.
Wait, hold on,
Then
guys.
at
Gotta take
that,
action on the
Barry,
first
wait a
motion.
second. We've got a motion on the table to accept the bear-proof dumpsters for the rentals. So that's what's on the table right now is a motion. So, and we've had a second, and we have a discussion.
I made the motion
So-
to get to discussion.
So all in favor of getting the bear-proof dumpsters for just the short-term rentals, say aye. Okay, so the motion fails.
correct,
So now you
Now I
would like
make
to
a
make
motion.
another motion.
that we wait until we get the results of the fines to see how it affects as far as the garbage is concerned.
I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion on that? All in favor of
Wait a minute.
waiting?
I think Carl wanted to say something but hesitated.
Well, I mean, if this is gonna come back, I'd like to see it amended to all property owners. Remains
Well, that would be for future
If
discussion.
it comes back,
And if
then
it comes back, then maybe it will
probably
if the
will.
fines aren't working.
And just a point of clarification for staff and myself, you know, we're getting ready to go into the winter season. Is the expectation we monitor for another 6 months or through till next fall before we come back? Or, I mean, I guess council can have some flexibility, but we would like some kind of guidance. Well, we want you to at least go through April and see how it goes or something, you know, before we try to come back with something and see how, I mean, I don't know. I would just like to know.
I'd like to see a full year of the,
full
when
year.
we finally really started putting the fines in place. Wait for
So-
at least one calendar.
That would
Or
be
12
till,
months.
that would be till about May of 2019. We
Right.
kind of started it last March, April, May is when we really.
That's about when you started really getting serious, right, Carmen?
Yeah, so,
So we'll address it come May of
19,
2019.
we need a motion on that.
All right, so we have a motion to delay this for, until May of 2019 to see how the fines work. Is that correct? Is that your motion, Barry?
Yes.
Do I hear a second? Widener seconded. We had some discussion. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. The motion passes.
The fines that have been given, where's that money going to?
It just goes,
What,
I'd have to check with Steve, but it's on the water utility bill, so I'm assuming it goes in the sanitation line item.
Would, yes, sir.
Sanitation, it's the sanitation revenue.
Mr. Holloman, you have staff reports?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Been working with Riley, and Riley's been working for several months now on switching to a cloud phone system. We are actually going to go with Skyline, Skybest to do that because basically they wouldn't port the numbers for anybody else to do it. We're still experiencing cost savings through that, even though it'll probably be about 3 years before we get the total savings results. They're working that out now, so probably the next few months we hope to have that fully implemented. It's going to be a lot more functionality. When you call town hall, if you need public works, we won't have to say, let you hang up and call this number. We'll be able to hit a button and transfer you. So there'll be a lot of functionality that I think people will really appreciate. And like I said, there will still be some cost savings, and we don't have to worry about a phone system going out on us in the middle of the year being forced to do something more expensive because our phone system is over 20 years old, so very excited about that. We have a council retreat coming up on January 17th. We're going to be putting a flyer in the utility bills in December. Last year, we encouraged citizens to send us their ideas of what they want council to consider. So this year, we're trying to do that a little bit earlier, so you can email or send that. That'll be instructions in the thing. You can also attend the retreat, but what we do, we compile all those lists of what citizens have concerns, and we list it out. We don't really prioritize it. We may try to group it if there's sanitation issues, recreation issues, and that, but council sees everything.
Is that a Thursday, Tim?
This Thursday.
It's Thursday leading into the holiday weekend. Am I not correct?
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Could we do this on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? Those of us that work in the industry, the Thursdays or the beginning of a weekend?
We could try to switch it. I've kind of confirmed our facilitator for right now.
I mean, if you recall that last year, we did it on a Friday.
Well, we did it on Thursday this year, so if we had to bleed over to a Friday, we could.
Right.
Like if it's a Martin Luther
Could it be
King
a
weekend,
Wednesday?
I mean,
Wednesday with
any
Thursday.
weekend,
it's gonna
if
be.
Thursday is difficult, that one in particular begins on Thursday for those of us in
Would
the
Wednesday, I could try to call Julie tomorrow and see if Wednesday would work, or,
Because the second day is the backup.
Why don't we hold off on figuring out what day until you talk to Julie, because she's gonna be our facilitator,
yeah,
and then see if it could be a Tuesday or a Wednesday,
Tuesday.
not on the Martin Luther King weekend though. And
Oh, so even.
I can do the 16th.
You could do the 16th of Wednesday.
So see if you can do
And I will
that.
find a way to do the 17th, but I can tell you that if we're looking for participation from stakeholders in the town, you know, this is not something about me, but
Yeah.
this is the peak season. There are going to be people who have to work.
I'll see if we can do it either on the 15th or 16th. That's not a council meeting day, I don't think, that Tuesday.
There's another conflict on that weekend. That's also the weekend of the Beach Mountain Club Winter Meeting.
Which will then
People
will
have to
further
be
impact.
here.
The 24th is the next week.
Yeah. 'cause
Well, the
you-
24th
Well, we
facilitator,
already
If we
had
did
that
it-
planned.
the
If we did it
facilitator
on
had,
the-
no, she preferred the 17th. I think I said the 17th.
If we
or
did the
20th.
15th, would that be, that would be okay? See if she can do it, if that is not a council meeting, it's the third Tuesday.
Right.
So
So
see if she can do the
15th
fifteenth,
or the
which is a
16th.
Tuesday.
15th or the 16th?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
all right. I'll check that. I think right now we're still early enough, we probably get that done.
but preferably the 15th, because then leading into Wednesday wouldn't be that bad if we had to do that.
And we're not gonna be off-site anymore.
No,
we're
not
gonna be here,
offsite.
yes, sir. All right, so we'll try to schedule that for the 15th and 16th, so I'll get back with council. We'll give plenty of notification to the people. And like I said, they can either attend, or we're gonna give an option of whatever to share their ideas, even if they can attend. Okay. And the other thing, I'll be graduate of Leadership Avery. They're having a graduation ceremony tonight, so I won't be there, but that's a probably about 8 or 9 month thing that started back last March. They take about 20 to 30 people around Avery County. You learn about leaders, the industries, and things that are going on. So it's very enlightening, and had a chance to learn things about Avery County I probably wouldn't have learned without that course. So just to pass that along.
No cap and gown?
No cap and gown thing. I probably should get another plaque to go on the wall though, so that's good. And just thank the staff for continued good work and everything. They're moving forward and put a lot of effort in what we do and take a pride in it. So I'm very happy with staff.
Okay, thank you. Council comments. Carl?
As always, thank you for everyone for coming and putting up with my rant.
But it worked.
And thanks, Snow.
Thank the council for the mic system. I can actually hear us.
Oh, good. Barry?
No.
What? Okay. Wagner?
I got a few things. One's the Christmas ball. You know, it's my understanding that $22,000 was spent on this. And I think that money needs to be spent on needs, not wants. Something that'll give us a ROI. My opinion, spending this money was fiscal irresponsible. You know, we gave Tim the direction to, you know, try to save money. We cut the insurance and added for the employees to pay on their 401k, and I don't think we're sending a good message by spending this kind of money, not being good stewards, when, you know, I think this sends a poor message to our employees. You know, the LZ, you know, this has been a priority for several years. What's the status of?
We're still working on bidding it out. We are going to rebid it in January because we had no bids on it initially.
Nobody did.
Nobody bid on it.
Okay. And I'm not opposed to Shane Park by any means, but have any funds been released or any money spent on Shane Park?
We've started the engineering on it for the well house, but we ain't gone to construction. That has to go to bid as well.
And that engineering is for what?
The engineering and design to bid the well house and the water feature.
What kind of dollars are we looking at spending on that?
As much as $125,000 for construction.
I thought that this project that the town wouldn't invest any money until we got a grant for it.
We have to do the well regardless, and that water feature is part of the well. So, I mean, that's part of the thing. It's a little bit more expensive to add the feature, but we still have to have the well house.
We have to complete the pumping.
So we're spending $125,000, and we don't know and what happens if the park doesn't come to fruition?
I think some part of it will, whether or not, you know, everything is done. But as far as the money for the well house, I mean, we have to do that. That's not a, you know, a give me there as far as getting that done. You know, will we get the part grant? We're going to reapply for it again. You know, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't answer that question.
But it was my understanding that the town would not spend any money on this project. Didn't
We
we
have
make
to spend the money on the wellhead. We have to do that.
for a water feature?
The water feature is just an additional, the money is actually going into the wellhead, and then the water feature is an additional expense, but the main expense is taking care of the wellhead.
And it may be less. The 125,000 is guessing. Until we get the bid out, we don't know exactly how much it's going to be.
I mean, that's a lot of money to spend and not know where this project's going, and then also, you know, to anticipate folks going down there just to see a water feature. You know, I mean, here again, I like to get more information on this, but, you know, just knee-jerk reaction to spend $125,000 on a water, you know, feature. This money needs to be invested in infrastructure, something that gives us a better return on our investment.
Well, it is.
The well
It
is
infrastructure.
infrastructure.
The wellhead is infrastructure.
It's to
Your objection is to the spread between the required functionality of the wellhead, the pump money we have to spend, regardless if Shane Park never happened. If I understand you're objecting to our going ahead in a positive light and spending the additional money to create the water feature. I mean, you're not objecting, if I understand you,
That's
to the
correct.
work that has to be done.
That's
to the
correct.
wellhead work, which is the lion's share of that money.
So, I mean,
So it's a little misleading to throw out the $125,000 number to folks, thinking that this is a luxury. You know, the lion's share of that is required structural capital improvement work to the wellhead that must be done. I understand exactly and don't disagree with you, other than I want to believe the Shane Park's going to happen, but you're only talking about a portion of that money that you're objecting to. The other part must be spent.
So, can I get some information within a reasonable amount of time of what you think that these costs are going to be for something that has to be done with infrastructure versus?
Yes, sir. As soon as we have it bid out, you'll have the money, the information, but until it's bid out, you won't have it. So hopefully by January, February, you'll know what the projected cost is gonna be. But I won't have it until it's bid out.
So if council decides that we don't move forward with this project, do we have that flexibility?
You do have the flexibility. You cannot award the contract and you still, the only money you've spent is the engineering money.
Well, we have to move forward with the wellhead. I mean, that is not,
We've already approved the wellhead.
right,
The
we
only
have
thing
to
you
move forward with the
run into the
wellhead.
risk of, if council says, okay, well, we bid it out as a wellhead and water feature, and you come back and you wanna do just a wellhead, and then later on you come back and do the water feature, then it's gonna cost twice as much as it would if you would have done it at one time. So, I mean, because basically you have to take the well house down, so it's up to council.
I have
Look-
no objection doing the water feature. I mean, I hope that Shane Park actually becomes something special down the line. If we don't get the part, if it'll happen little by little, but, I mean, I just don't have, my personal opinion is I don't have a problem with
But
it.
there will be an opportunity, once we get the engineering report, to see the money, and then, you know, if the wind's blowing the other way, I'll be with you. Let's just do the pump. But,
Yeah, like I
I
said-
mean, we're looking at something we don't have, that's not in front of us yet.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to it. I just want to make sure we're going to be good stewards of the town's money. Also, insurance. Have there been any, have the employees experienced any hiccups with their insurance?
I think things have calmed down, but we actually have a meeting next Wednesday with the representative from each department to see what the status of that is and to see if they have any recommendations for change or not change. So, but I have not heard a lot of dissatisfaction since probably August.
So are we considering another plan?
Not at this point. You know, I'm come back and we're trying to get employees' input because they could say that, okay, they'd rather have the devil they know than the devil they don't know, because most employees, a lot of employees don't like to change every year with insurance, or they could offer some other suggestions. That's what we're trying to do. We'll have a meeting in November, probably January, and probably February. I don't anticipate doing another request for proposal. One thing, and I don't know how to guide the committee is, you know, do we look away from moving away from self-funded and maybe look to the league? The league is not state insurance. That's one of the options. So, I should be able to give you a report in December about what the November meeting was with the staff.
So at this time, we're not considering another plan?
Not at this time, we're not, no,
So
sir.
we hear from
And
the
that was,
employees.
and when we left it, we asked that at the 6-month mark, we get the feedback from employees, so, you know, that is going to happen. I would like to back up on something that Widener brought up on the Christmas ball, because that was my initial reaction as well. But if I understand correctly, of the total cost, half came from TDA funds. There was not a request to this council for a budget amendment, so the remaining balance came from an existing department's budget.
Came from Christmas.
That's
lights.
correct.
And then I have no, I don't think that that's being a poor steward of the money. That is the department's working within the budget that we've given. Now, I would have been in opposition to amending the budget for additional funds for that, but, you know, as it was done, I don't. Sorry to interrupt you, Ron.
So, Mayor had mentioned the vets. You know, I'm sure there's multiple vets in the room. The two that we have on our police department, 2 vets, 2 veterans, and also Wendell. And on Veterans Day, I sent a few folks out, a thank you for their service to our country, and it means a lot for those guys to represent our country and sacrifice their life and other lives as well. To our military and our fire department and police department, your services are appreciated.
Yes, they are.
I second the motion.
Yes.
Oh, last thing is that I'd like to see if there's any way that we can move some of these committee meetings and council meetings up and make them a little bit later. I think that, you know, and I'm just assuming by some of the comments that I've had that more folks would like to attend our council meetings and also committee meetings. Some of us are still employed, and it'd be nice to see, you know, if it would have an impact, if we could move our council and some of these committee meetings later in the afternoon.
The committees set their own times, I believe,
Correct.
days and times, so it's up to
It's
the
up to them.
committees to
It's up to
decide
them.
what they want to do. And we've had discussions regarding council meetings before, but how does the council feel about that?
I'm comfortable with it where it is.
I think we've hit the sweet spot. You're not going to be able to accommodate everyone. Like Widener, I still work full-time in addition to other responsibilities. It's, you know, well, I mean, what do you think, 6 o'clock, so that we're here to 9 on a contentious evening? Do you think we'll have more support, you know?
I don't know. I think it's worth a try. You know, most municipalities, you know, they meet somewhere between 6 and 7. A lot of them meet at 7. If we're here till 9, I mean, you know, I think we're servants of our community.
Just remember, now they can watch it on TV if they can't make it.
I have not, you know, again, we have made the investments, Barry said, to make it more accessible. I think the meetings are well attended, and I have heard no opposition from any of the constituency to the time that we do it. If that is in fact the case, please let me hear it. I would be open to it, but I believe that we have the proper time, that you can't meet everyone's need, but I think we meet the majority that wish to attend.
And for those that attended today, thank you for your participation. It's appreciated.
Wendell?
No comment.
All right, Pete.
What would history say when we used to have the meeting
I
at
was
6 o'clock?
just going to bring that up. Prior councils have changed meetings. It was at 2 o'clock, it was at 6 o'clock, it was at 4 o'clock. It never changed the amount of people that came. So, I mean, like you said, history has shown that you can change the time, people may just don't want to come or whatever. And I think what Barry's point is very well taken, is once we get this set up, people can watch the council meetings through YouTube. They can watch them live, or they can go back when they get home from work if they're interested and watch it then. It's not like they can be interactive with us, but I mean, history has shown that it doesn't make a difference what time you have it. People
Attendance
don't
is
come.
about the same.
It is about the same.
And Mayor, Mayor and Council, this is the second drive run. We didn't have a good experience last time, but if everything goes good tonight, then December, they should be able to watch it from home or watch it archived. So.
I just thought I heard everything, but maybe I didn't. Did I hear correctly that we paid $22,000 for this?
The town paid $11,000. The town paid $11,000 out of their Christmas budget, and then the TDA paid $11,000.
Should have given that money to Susie. She would make this place look like Disney World.
Well, she's going to end up doing something with it also.
Well, Mayor, you want me to just clarify that? In the last 4 years, the town spent about $80,000 on what Susie does between the town and TDA. So, and we're also, one part of the Christmas ball was to make, it is a wow factor. And
I
we,
don't see $22,000 in wow.
yeah.
Well,
and also,
Frank, I mean, again, my initial was, you see it lit up, they're gonna be crawling all over it when they're on the sledding hill.
It's for the
It's gonna be a wow. And I believe they'll also be able to turn it into a pumpkin
So you're saying
in the
we
fall.
own that?
That is my understanding.
Yes, we
That
own it.
we own it.
Yes.
It's not, yeah, we own it.
And it's something that kids can actually go in and.
Kids and families
You
can
can
do
take
it.
pictures.
Yeah.
It's meant to be for photo opportunity.
No, people can climb on it or you.
No,
No, not
if you go inside of it, it's a photo
It's a photo op.
opportunity.
You can't-
There's a bench, they
It
won't
is
be
not-
climbing on it.
It's not a recreation.
Taking liability, that's what.
No,
No,
it's
you
made
walk-
for.
If you look, it's open on the side, you can walk in and it'll be a photo op, and if you've been by at night when they've had it lit, it really does pop. I mean, which kind of brought,
And
you
when
know.
Susie does her thing to it, it's really going to be nice, and I guarantee you, people on that sledding hill, they're going to have their 3-year-olds in there saying, "Stand still, I want to take your picture."
And one of the things.
I would like to see something inside that lets them know it's Beach Mountain. So when those pictures go out, I mean, if we're gonna spend that money, they need to know exactly where that is.
We
Not
can have a
them
little
telling
beach
them.
mountain thing,
You
man.
know,
That's what
something
we need to
behind the bench that's,
It
you
would have
know,
been nice if you
easy.
could have gotten a sign behind it, but yeah, that's a good point.
No, we can do that. One thing too, as far as, you know, we'll probably be investing some small amount of money in Christmas ornaments for every year, because we're also planning on contingency when Susie's not available to decorate anymore, and our public works guys can plug and play. I mean, I hope Susie's able to do it for another 20 years, but let's be
honest.
We are working towards that now. We'll probably not have another big ornament like that,
I hope
but
not.
we'll have smaller things, but we do intend to have partnerships with TDA, throughout, you know, in years to come, that kind of add to that.
So this is not finished, is that what you're telling me?
Susie's
You split
gonna,
up?
still more to
Susie's
go
gonna
with.
decorate it and make it.
The
Just
official
put
lighting.
some toy soldiers in there for the
It
picture.
looks kind of plain Jane
Yeah, I
now.
know.
I mean,
But it does look good at night when
The,
it's lit
the
up.
official lighting will not be until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I think. So we just had it lit up to try and make sure everything was working, and we're still working on that. We've got one little strand that's not working, so, but anyway, until Thanksgiving, it won't be lit up every night. And then from that time, it'll go through the end of ski season.
My opinion is people are gonna leave here who are visitors, because it is for the visitors, and they're gonna leave here going, wow, Beach Mountain is so cool, and they're gonna end up making their Christmas cards out of the pictures that they've taken that day.
Did Kate get you the
I
It's an
know.
link
expensive
to
Christmas
Southern Living?
11,000
Yes.
bucks. It's
She
okay.
did. Southern Living, just as the ball was going in, Southern Living already picked it up and put it on their,
They have a link
their
on their
website.
website.
It's on their
It's
website.
about Beach Mountain,
Not
but they mentioned the
specifically
blue.
that, not a photograph of that ball, because
So we're already
they
getting.
did it in anticipation of the ball going
Yeah,
in.
so it's,
So it's gonna have marketing
I think it's
effect,
gonna be
without a
good.
doubt.
And Frank, we're gonna park it in your yard.
Off season.
gonna park it in your
The
yard.
other 9 months a year.
I didn't hear that.
Good.
Does council have anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Carl,
Second.
motion, Kara, second. Same to you.
I take it the hats are